Is it the good turtle soup, or is it merely the mock?
Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger.
Is it a cocktail, this feeling of joy? Or is what I feel the real McCoy?
This is Saturday Night's Special, and you are watching us, and we thank you for that. And it's going to be a very spooky, interesting, weird, and fun show. You can tune in and tune out, but enjoy it whatever way you get it. I'm Tom. This is Ben. He's our first guest tonight. And Ben Creech is a filmmaker and a teacher and a troublemaker sometimes, and a friend of mine. So there you go. First thing that we saw that we put on ImageIndian.tv, of which this is a part, was the Psycho 64. Tell us about that.
Psycho 64 was an experiment. I was interested in trying to find a way to visualize montage, to show the editing like in space-time, like in a visual field. And so I essentially tried to produce a version of the famed shower sequence where we could really engage with the material itself as opposed to simply experiencing it. And so
Whoa, what does that mean?
what does that mean? We're in the cinema and we're just like, we are hit with it, and then what did we see? We don't really know. You know, we're kind of dizzy from it.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to spread it out so that you could see, at any given time when you're looking at my image, you're seeing about 2.5 to 3 minutes of screen time, or seconds of screen time. And so it really is like a way of spatializing the time in that specific montage, which is full of the fast cuts of the different shower angles. And so it was like an exercise, but then with the silence that came along with the production of it, it ended up having this kind of like spooky feel because of how much sound is present in the original sequence.
I think we might have put some music in there last
That's
time.
fine. I like that.
So let's go to that. Psycho 64. Ben Creech, done recently, what? About
2019?
Okay.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
So the scream would be 64 screams and not just one.
That's right.
It's bad enough to do one.
Here, though, you get sort of caught in the mesmerizing, I think, quality. You don't even think of there being 64 images. And I think even I tell people that's the title sometimes, and they don't really know what the 64 means.
Right, I'm sure. They think it's 1964 or
Right.
2064. Oh, they all disappeared, those 64 images.
There they went.
Whoever did that before?
Well, I was thinking about, there's this guy, Greg Bierman, who would take movies like, actually he worked with Hitchcock movies a bunch. He did a movie called Iterations with Rear Window. And he did, what he does is kind of like stagger out the images and break them apart. And so for a long time I was obsessed with his films. Iterations works by having these vertical panels of the image that sort of occur at different times, but it's the same place in the image. It's hard to explain. He did a piece though with Sound of Music that was similar to this, where it had 7 images at once, and it sort of flipped between the 7 images.
With the audio, though.
With the audio, though, yeah.
So, why no audio? Why no sound? I guess we're going to have to put sound in at some point.
Maybe. I mean, it's sort of fascinating that it's silent to me because of how iconic the sound originally was. But it's silent partly because there's 64 channels. Like, actually, you all have screened my Derby Chop before, which is similar in that it has 100 channels of the different horse races of the Kentucky Derby. But that has all the sound overlapping.
Right.
And so there it's just like sheer chaos of the soundscape. But this, I mean, this came about, originally the version I had actually 128 images in it, and that was too much. And so I was like, no, I'll make it into a widescreen thing. But I was just like, I wanted the images, I wanted to see the images. And so the sound was a distraction from that.
Okay. So, what do you want them to come away with seeing that? What is it? What story does it tell them? What's the lesson other than wow, that's cool?
For that one, maybe that's the lesson. Maybe that's
well,
the
it is
story.
cool.
It is cool. Like, it's cool to look at. I think that part of the thing is that, like, we don't have the capacity a lot of times when we watch the movie to really understand the parts. And so part of what I think this, at least what it does for me, and maybe what it might stimulate in others, is the ability to kind of engage with film and video material actively as opposed to just receiving it. And so, like, this is a way of just responding actively.
And where does Hitchcock fit into this? It's just because it was so iconic, the scene, and everybody would know it.
Yeah, that's part of it, but Hitchcock is also a master in that Hitchcock has been studied and emulated endlessly and countlessly by all these other filmmakers across time. And so I'm influenced by Hitchcock, but I'm also influenced by people who are influenced by Hitchcock. He's just one of these voices that is integral to the narrative.
And that gets us to the guy.
Yeah, that gets us to the guy.
William
Girdler. William Girdler.
Girdler. William Girdler, who is a filmmaker in Louisville, where you're from originally. Right. And he had a pretty good racket going.
He did. His racket was to take successful Hollywood movies like The Exorcist, which, let's be clear, The Exorcist is Hollywood doing a Hammer movie, like at a big scale, right? So he takes something like The Exorcist and he knocks it off for cheaper and makes a bunch of money off that. He did it with Jaws, he did it with Psycho, he did it with Dirty Harry, made knockoffs of all these classic movies. And so his version of Psycho, though, it's funny, it's called 3 on a Meat Hook.
Okay.
And it is a hillbilly adaptation of Psycho, as if it happened in Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah.
In the hills.
In the hills.
All right, well, let's watch it.
Let's watch the trailer.
This is really the the trailer for it.
Right.
It tells what it is, but it doesn't really show it.
Right.
There it is.
A picture you won't ever forget. because it touches the full spectrum of the bizarre, the forbidden, the twilight areas of a life destined to be spent in shadow and agony. The screen may never again relate to this subject matter. It will certainly never again approach this treatment.
Oh, you know all about them, huh? You don't even know their names. Now get them out of here.
Look, Paul, why don't you just go on to bed or something? I promised to have them out of here first thing in the morning. But I'm not taking them back on that road this time of night.
Do they? I don't want to be unreasonable, but you know what happens to you when you get around women. And it must never happen again.
It ain't gonna happen, Paul. I'm gonna go fix them something to eat, and then I'll show them to the rooms.
A child's world robbed of joy by a secret conspiracy of suspicion and fear, dwelling like a lodger in the mind, insinuating its presence into every heartbeat, holding a black light to the dreams of childhood, forcing the will into blind canyons of loneliness and despair. A stolen life, pawned to a godless oblivion. The only ones left to mourn, the last witnesses to the execution, suspended in time by a puppeteer with blood on his hands. Little broken dolls that go on dancing after the music has stopped. 3 on a meat hook.
3 on a meat hook.
3 on a meat hook.
3 on a meat hook. Well, you know, not to get lost from not to concentrate only on the cinephiles and the people who, you know, are reiterations of reiterations of reiterations of Hitchcock, of who knows what. The fact is, this genre of stuff is designed to scare the pants off of everybody.
That's right.
That's what it is. We gotta watch it, you know? And that's been going on ever since there was movies.
That's right. From the very start, from Nosferatu.
Well, who knows what that is? Tell us what that is.
Nosferatu was one of the earliest horror movies ever made, based off Dracula. It was a knockoff. We were just talking about Girdler making knockoffs, with 3 on a meat hook being like a knockoff Psycho, but Nosferatu was a knockoff of Dracula. And actually, it was almost lost because of Bram Stoker's wife suing the filmmakers for copyright infringement. And so they ended up destroying so many prints of Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But it's like the OG
Like I said,
adaptation of Dracula.
it's inside baseball.
Right.
Now, I'm back to the scaring part.
That's
and
right.
I can give you my take is the scariest thing I ever saw, and I was probably right at the right age, was The Birds.
Uh-huh.
When did The Birds come?
1963.
Yeah, I was around. And he did stuff nobody else had done, technically, because the Birds didn't really do that.
Right. Right. It was like special effects.
Right. And it was the first special effects that really scared people, because nobody knew, oh, you can do that.
Right.
Let's look at it.
Cool.
I guess this is one scene from it.
Well, there's no reason.
Well, it's happening. Isn't that a reason?
I like Bodega Bay as well as the next
Fine, then
man,
help
but I
me.
can't
Look, you're an important man in this town. If you help, they all will.
help. How? What do you want to do?
Mrs. Grundy said something about Santa Cruz, about seagulls getting lost in a fog and flying in towards the lights.
We don't have any fog this time of year.
Make our own fog.
How do you figure to do
We
that?
can use smoke puffs the way the Army uses them. Look! They're attacking again. Well, Melanie, you stay in here. Come on out.
the gas. That man's lighting a cigar.
Hey, you! Watch out! Don't drop that match! Look out! Get out of there!
Mister, run!
Watch out!
Mister,
Look out! Look out! Watch out!
Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? They said when you got here, the whole thing started. Who are you? What are you? Where did you come from? I think you're the cause of all this. I think you're evil! Evil!
I think they're going. We can get Kathy at Annie's now.
Yeah.
You're on.
The birds.
The birds.
The birds. The birds. The birds.
It's funny watching the people react to Tippi Hedren and sort of do the mob psychology thing, or the mob like response to her, which is kind of like the energy the birds are giving themselves. Like I feel like what's so scary about the birds is we don't have any clue in the end what causes them. We kind of buy the idea that maybe it is Tippi, like she might be evil.
Right.
You know, it might be, and then there's like, you know, the stuff with Mitch and the stuff with Mitch's mom, but like, you know, so we kind of buy that. We kind of buy the mob.
Well, we got no
explanation
other
for it.
experience. We have no other reason to believe to understand
Right.
what happened.
But that doesn't explain it. And
No.
so the fact that it's beyond that is, I think, what's so scary about the birds.
Right. Plus, they're doing things that nobody ever saw anybody do before.
Right.
So, what's the scariest thing that you ever had anything to do with or watch?
Let's see. Scariest movie I ever watched. There's lots of good scary movies. I enjoy them. That's the thing. I don't get scared as much anymore
Right,
because I
of
saw
course.
stuff that's like super depraved. So I kind of got desensitized to some things, and like I'm not scared so much as like I enjoy like messed up horror movies. So I guess the scariest.
That's a better way to put it. I mean, it's like it's
Halloween is still scary to me.
It is.
The shape, the Michael Myers figure sort of creeping around in the background, all those movies. There's this French movie called Them. It's like about these house
The
invaders.
Ants.
No, it's called like ILS, them, they, something
Yeah.
like that. And it's like these kids do a home invasion on this like protagonist, and that movie's really scary. That movie really scared me. That's the last movie I feel like really scared by, was that one.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, that's why I
birds,
showed the
yeah,
birds, because
exactly.
it has to be when you're
Right, exactly.
when you're
It hits you when-
accessible
exactly.
to it, when you're ready.
True.
But I never was much for scary movies.
Yeah.
I like baseball. Okay. Thanks for coming over to the
Thanks
to
for
the
having me.
underground with us in
That's
the
right.
basement, and showing us some of your wares,
Thanks for having
and
me.
and explaining stuff that nobody's likely to be able to explain as well. So thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
All good.
All good.
It's cool. Well.
For you, geese beer. Piracy's a crime, and crime doesn't pay, and we go home poor at the end of the day. But I'd rather live my life in rags than be chained to a desk with a wife that's a hag. We live each day like there's nothing to lose, but a man has needs, and that need is booze. They say all the best things in life are free, so give all your beer and your rum to me. We are here to drink your beer and steal your rum at the point of a gun. Your alcohol to us will fall, 'cause we are here to drink your beer. We are here to drink your beer and steal your rum at the point of a gun. Your alcohol to us will fall, 'cause we are here to drink your beer. Drink, 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 drink. We've sailed o'er the seas for wenches and mead, and told great tales of a hunt master's deeds. The quest for a drop of that famous old spice has shown us the wrath of Leviathan's bite. We went back through time to get more rum, though we end up shipwrecked, having no fun. But heavy metal pirates we must be, so give all your beer and your rum to me. We are here to drink your beer and steal your rum at the point of a gun. Your alcohol to us will
So the news, well, it isn't quite the news, but with what Russia is doing, we have, and the media has turned it into an absolute horror show in itself. And I'm not saying it's any good, it's terrible. But there's another side of Russian people and artists who we had on an old show, and it was done by Skip Lumberg, who was in Moscow. And the idea was to talk with and hang out with artists. And so this was on their night out, and we're going to take a look at the video he shot with the artists in Moscow about 1992, I would say. Here, check it out.
So I would like to personally toast to all of you who have helped produce this exhibition, and to you artists who have made this the exhibition that we know it will be. Between spring and summer. Nobody clinked. You're supposed to clink. Everybody has to clink.
It's for a second toast.
I'm sorry.
I had some. I'm going to try the Chinzano now.
I didn't tape the rest of the meal, but by the end of the meal they were toasting and clinking and dancing on the table. It was an amazing sight to see.
So, this is Jason-David Simmons, and he's been here before and he'll be here again. But this week or the week after, soon, there's a movie coming out.
Yes.
And it's called Till. Mm-hmm. And you're a guy who grew up in the same neighborhood as Emmett Till.
Yes.
And what do you know about the story? It was about, it was 55, 45.
Yeah,
It's
almost,
like 70 years ago almost.
yeah, almost about 70 years ago.
So
It's a story that's been told within our neighborhood since I was a kid, you know, and growing up in and around a lot of activists and people that were conscious of these stories. Emmett Till was one of the ones that stood out to me the most because he really it spoke to me because you travel outside outside of your comfort zone, you travel outside of your city, and you don't know what really to expect. So when you run across a story like that, to be hyper conscious of every action that you do outside of your comfort zone really, as a kid, like shaped me on how I moved in the world. So yeah, it was a very pivotal story to be told within within my neighborhood and my upbringing. So yeah.
So the other day, you and I were looking at the CBS story when I don't know, it was Ed Bradley. It was probably 25, 30 years ago when they did the story. But they showed the actual footage. They went down there. They went to the Bryant store. They told what happened in the trial. That in fact these guys said these guys were acquitted fairly quickly by the people of Mississippi.
I mean, less than 7 minutes. Like they said it was only took that long because they took a soda break. I mean, how disrespectful of a time, you know, and such blatant disrespect in terms of you had an eyewitness saying that we saw him on their property. You know, we have another eyewitness saying that they saw him on the back of the truck, you know, but yet.
So there's this movie that's coming out that's really, it's not a documentary, it's a story, it's a screenplay, and it's trying, as far as we know, it's trying to be true to what happened. I hope it's not over dramatized because there's plenty of drama all by itself, you know, it's all.
Yeah. It's a whole thing where I think that the director and the producer really has the story and the family in mind in terms of telling this story correctly without getting into the hyper violence of showing a young black man dying, but showing what the impact and that the decisions that his mother made to show the world her baby in the most vulnerable way possible.
In the grave.
In the grave.
In the coffin.
In the coffin.
Yeah.
You know, in the coffin with it was like, I'm going to show the world what they've done to us and what they're continuing to do to us. And it resonates as a story that's still relevant to this day, which is sad but true, but necessary for us to continue telling these stories. And even though it's not a direct documentary to say truth to every single step of how it is, but it's a story that needs to be told, and it's in a conversation that needs to be had.
You know, we've said that what needs to change is white minds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not about anything other than what that tradition for how many years? It's centuries. That's what has to change. And so in a sense, this is a way to get it in popular form, to get it out in who goes to the movie theaters? White people.
Yeah.
Who reviews them is white people. And that's who it's aimed at, saying, you got to know about this.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, it's to broaden the narrative. It's to broaden the scope of what the true story is.
There you go. Okay.
And allowing people, like you said, like allowing certain white people to wake up to the transgressions of what this country is built off of, which is the death and the continuous, like, raping and pillaging of black and brown people all across this country. You know, and it's like it's becoming more and more politicized, saying that the whites are running out, or like whatever issue that they're taking with, it still doesn't justify the slaughter of young men.
Right.
It still doesn't justify the injustice that we see on a consistent basis. And
we can go back to the natives, to the indigenous people in America, and whoever it is.
Yeah, whoever it is.
Go get them, go get them, go get them. And it's a different story for enslaved people, for sure.
Absolutely.
But
not to take away from anybody's story, and that's another thing about it too. It a lot of times this becomes so polarized in terms of black struggle, like Indian struggle. We're all subjugated to the same form of racism. You are other, therefore you are bad. Then therefore gives me the right to exterminate you, or to treat you as other, or to disrespect your culture, your nationality, or anything.
Your humanity.
Your humanity. Which at the bottom line and at the end of the day, what world are you really truly living in if you're only seeing white? The whole world is full of color. Everybody is different. Everybody has different ways of being brought up, including within like it kills me, like Polish people. Like there's so many different variations of white that it's like I don't understand. Like there's no real definition of what a white person is. So how can you clearly define these separations? So the whole thing is just really sad at the end of the day.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah.
As usual. Now, what we're gonna do, the movie Till, which neither one of us has seen, there is a trailer for it before it's coming out in theaters shortly. Mm-hmm. So that's what we want to show right now.
Okay.
And here it is.
This was my boy, Emmett Till. I got a letter today from Auntie Lizzie. She said Bo's been working the fields. I can't imagine. Oh, he just doesn't understand how different things are in Mississippi. Are you listening?
Yes.
Be small down there.
Like this?
Emmett never thought anything would happen to him.
Meet the mummy, Simmy!
Ow! He just wanted to go on vacation and have fun with his cousins. But if my son could just get his feet back onto the Chicago soil, he'd be one happy kid. I don't know why I said that.
I want to talk to you about that boy.
They've come for you.
It's hard to describe what a mother knows. The first thing I noticed when I became a mother was that my hands were busy all the time. My hand knew him with my eyes closed, just like I know his laughter in a crowded room. It's the same thing when you know all of someone. This was my boy, Emmett Till.
The body of Emmett Lewis Till has been found dead.
Can I at least just fix him up a bit?
No, they have to see it for themselves.
You tell me, Mamie, how is risking your life gonna help Bo?
Those pictures of your son change people's lives.
I can't look, Mamie. We have to. The lynching of my son has shown me that what happens to any of us, anywhere in the world, had better be the business of us all.
Let's go see it together next week. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the bravery that she had to have to endure receiving her baby home in that way. No mother should ever feel that way.
Sure.
And let this be a reminder to every person that's a mother to hold their children tight. Because you don't know. This world is cruel. This world is really cruel. But yeah, I'm intrigued to go in to see it with you.
Okay.
And coming back and giving our reaction to what we see.
You got it.
Yeah.
Okay. This has been a very special Saturday night.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. And
we'll do it again.
Okay. Sounds good. We go to Michigan now, frequently on this show, to go to where marijuana is legal and growing, to one of our favorite people, Donna, who is known as Weed Woman.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Are you making a video or picture?
Video now.
That's good, Yop. Let's send it to Tom. Just send that. What are you doing here today?
Visiting Donna.
He and Diana, they're visiting me.
That's our only mission.
They brought some foodies, and it's a beautiful day, and they took a ride. You know, they took a little ride, and today is also a celebratory day for me because I just moved out of my RV from the last 6 months to the next 6 months. God blessing, God willing. I know. Now I'll be really lonely and I'll just watch TV all the time. But it's like there's no edges around my life in the winter to make me nervous. So I'll be kind of floaty, you know. Harvesting? No, I have many hours to go before I sleep. Yeah, and my friend, you know that spinner thing you took pictures of me, you know, with the pot? My friend wants it back tomorrow, so I have to finish it up today. So it's a thing. It's not that much. I don't have that much to do. I have about $5,000 more to do. I'm kidding.
Who's counting? You do it for fun.
It's fun, but I wouldn't do it for total free. Yeah, you gotta start buying some this year, man.
Of course.
I know. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this shit. So, is it hot by you? So, what are people doing downstairs of the 53rd floor, 52nd floor?
54. They're, I don't know. I haven't been out there much.
It's beautiful, Tommy.
It's a beautiful day.
In the neighborhood.
Get outside.
Okay, yes, we'll get outside.
I have to go see the exhibit. It's still up, right? The Native American.
Native Truths, yes, it's permanent. Please do come by. Let me know.
You know what? And we want to see the death one. See, now Tom, if Tom really would do this, Tom has another whole apartment right next to his apartment where Frida and I could stay. All Tom you have to do is hide Frida going to the elevator, right? Isn't it right?
We'll put her in a suitcase.
So everything good? Okay, well, can we do that sometime then? And then you and I go to the Field Museum and have a great time.
I would love that, Tyler.
Well, where are you going? Is your girlfriend taking you all over the world? Are you leaving town?
No, I got no plans.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so when's the death one close? Yeah.
Next September.
Okay, we got time. Let's do that. Let's do that. We don't want to wait. I don't have to clean my house anymore all the time. I may smell.
He'll be gone.
Oh, you're going. He's going away.
I'm gone for a week.
But I want to see you there. And you know what? Why don't you come then, and we'll.
I'm assuming I'm coming.
Yeah.
You're coming. Okay, let's do that. Let's definitely do that. I really want to be friends with people more now. I want to have friends now. But only old friends. You know what? If I don't want to be with someone, I don't have to. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Many people have to be with people, like who they work with or whatever, or husbands or wives, you know. I mean, I really get to pick and choose, man.
That's all around. I'll see you soon, yeah.
All right. Bye, Tom.
But I would not feel so all alone. Everybody must get stoned.
Jamie Caesar.
Hi.
Our partners for at least a few years.
Yeah, I think I know you.
That's what somebody said to me. Yeah. Anyway, you know Jamie Caesar? I do. So we started when I had an office down in the basement down there at Channel 11 in Chicago.
TT.
And you used to walk by the door, and then you'd come in once in a while. And I was producing Image Union when it first started, 1978. And before too long, you were producing it with me. And before too long after that, you were producing it without me. And now we're doing it again, together, 40, whenever.
I love that.
So here we are. And so what we're doing tonight is kind of re-showing, a show that we did together, I think, and
it was about Halloween.
It was about Halloween, that's the deal,
Yes.
and we were trying to be scary and intelligent at the time.
And experimental. And so anyway, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the show, and then the show will tell itself. But this show originally had 3 pieces in it. One was a sort of an experimental Macbeth by some folks in Chicago, including Vern Piven of the Piven Playhouse. And it also had, we got a public domain film of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which I put to Jimi Hendrix music, which was really cool.
We're going to see that.
And we're going to see that. And then the other film was called Tarantella. And I produced this so many years ago, but someone hipped me to the fact that this piece happened to have been directed by somebody by the name of Christopher Nolan. Now, you might know him as the director of Inception and Memento and the Batman films, but when I saw his film, he was 10 or 11 living in Wilmette, Illinois, 11 or 12. And I just thought it was a great kids film, because what do I know except for that I have good eyes. And so I put it on, and then we refound it, and we put it on the Media Burn website, which is Tom's website for archival films, if you are interested, mediaburn.org. And then we put it on, about 3 months ago, and within 48 hours we got a cease and desist from the man himself. So that's not going to be in the film, in the show, but it's okay because we've got the Macbeth piece, and then also we have a great public domain film called Little Shop of Horrors with an actor who you might know by the name of Jack Nicholson. I believe it was his first film or second film, and then we rounded out with the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So take a look.
Take a look. It's Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
And get scared. Get scared.
Welcome to Image Union, WTTW's weekly program featuring the work of independent producers. Films and tapes you don't usually see on TV.
When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won.
That will be ere the set of sun.
Where the place? Upon the heath.
There to meet with Macbeth.
I come, Grey Morgan. Paddock calls.
Anon!
Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Hover through the fog and filthy air.
Where hast thou been, sister?
Killing swine.
Sister, where thou?
A sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, and munched and munched and munched. Give me, quoth I, anoint thee, witch, the rump-fed Runyon cries. Her husband's to Aleppo gone, master of the tiger. But in a sieve I'll thither sail, and like a rat without a tail, I'll do, and I'll do.
I'll give thee a wing.
Thou art kind.
And I another.
I myself have all the other. I'll drain him dry as hay. Sleep shall neither night nor day hang upon his penthouse lid. He shall live a man forbid. Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest tossed. Look what I have!
Show me! Show me!
Here I have a pilot's thumb, wrapped as homeward he did come.
A drum! Macbeth doth come!
Weird sisters, hand in hand, posters of the sea and land, thus do go about. Thrice to thine, and thrice to mine, and thrice again to make up 9. Peace! The charms wound up. All hail Macbeth! Hail to thee, Thane of Glums!
All hail, Macbeth! Hail to thee, Thane of Cornwall!
All hail Macbeth, that shalt be king hereafter!
Hail!
Hail!
Hail! Lesser than Macbeth and greater.
Not so happy, yet much happier.
Thou shalt get kings.
Thou shalt get kings, though thou be none.
So all hail Macbeth and Banquo!
Banquo and Macbeth!
All hail!
My name is Sergeant Joe Fink, working a 24-hour shift out of homicide. And this is my workshop, the part of town that everybody knows about, but that nobody wants to see. Where the tragedies are deeper, the ecstasy's wilder, and the crime rate consistently higher than anywhere else. Skid Row, my beat.
Flower as fresh as the springtime mushnicks. Hello? Oh, hello, Dr. Farb. What can I do for you today?
Listen, Mushnick, I haven't got much time. Send me over 2 gladiolas and the fern.
Excellent. That's 2 dozen glads, 1 potted fern.
No, Mushnick. 2 gladiolas and 1 fern.
You want I should put 2 gladiolas in the pot with the ferns?
No, 1 fern, 1 piece. Altogether, 3 pieces. I need it for my waiting room.
Yeah, it's the filling job.
What?
A filling job.
Good, I'll drill a bigger hole.
You mean you want 2 crummy gladiolas and 1 crummy fern? What kind of a decoration is that?
Listen, it's my flower budget for the week. Mushnick. Who can be a dentist on Skid Row?
All right, excellent. I'll send Seymour right away. Who am I to argue with science?
Make it snappy. Now you are going to get it. Oh, you are going to get it. Look.
Seymour Krellboyne? Now, Mrs. Shiver, we were talking from the funeral flowers. What the little...
funeral!
Did you call me Mr. Mushnick?
No. I was calling John D. Rockefeller for to make a loan on my Rolls Royce.
Sorry I said it.
Now, look, Seymour. You take 2 gladiolas. You'll cut them nice and even. You'll take 1 fern. You'll wrap them in a package, and you'll take them to Dr. Farr. Right? Well, go already! Now, what can I do for you, sir?
My name is Burson Fudge.
Excellent. I am Gravis Mushnick.
Oh, that's a good one.
Now, who's going to get my roses?
I'll take care of you, Mrs. Shiver. Come right over here.
You would like maybe some orchids for a nice girl?
No, I think I'd like a couple of dozen carnations.
Carnations.
A person can't turn around these days that somebody shouldn't drop dead.
You've had more than your share of bad luck, Mrs. Shiver.
Bad luck, she calls it. You should have so many people kick off. You would have somebody fall on top of you, too.
What about the carnations?
You said you wanted some roses.
Yes, for Stanley.
My carnations.
You should see what that Seymour is. Oh, here are your carnations. Wait, I'll wrap them for you.
No, that's all right. I'll leave them here.
Why not? Of course. What else? They are all right?
Well, I've had better.
Well, this is a small shop.
Oh, that's okay. You know, those big places, they're full of pretty flowers, expensive flowers. When you raise them for looks and smell, you're bound to lose some food value. I like to eat these little out-of-the-way places.
Oh! Such a thing, eating flowers.
Look, don't knock it until you try it, huh? Look what happened.
This is what I was trying to tell you before. Look on him, everybody. Look at the quality of his work. I ask you, when I fired him, where is he going to get such another good job?
You mean I'm fired?
No, I'm electing you president from the United States. Yes, you are fired.
Gravis, you can't do that.
Who can't?
I didn't mean it.
You didn't mean it. You never mean it. You didn't mean it the time you put up the bouquet with the get well card in the funeral parlor and sent the black lilies to the old lady in the hospital. You didn't mean it. But this time, I, Gravis Mushnick, mean it.
He means it.
But gee, Mr. Mushnick, don't I always try to do what's right? And I'm crazy about flowers. I like flowers almost as much as Audrey does.
Excellent, you're fired.
Why don't you give him a chance to resurrect himself?
I give him a chance to quit.
I ain't gonna quit.
You're a brave boy, you're fired.
But that ain't fair, Mr. Mushnick. You know what I'm doing? I'm working on a special surprise plant just for you. I'm growing a plant like you ain't never seen before.
Excellent. I can't even sell the plants I got in my shop. Out, you.
Now, wait a minute. He's got a new kind of plant you ought to look at.
I don't look on flowers, Mr. Yellow Vest. I got ancestors in the flower business for 200 years, but I got one shop on Skid Row, one stinking shop. I don't even like flowers.
No, you don't understand what I mean. Look, I've eaten in flower shops all over the world. And I've noticed that the places that have the most weird and unusual plants do the best business.
See?
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 What is this, a tango? All right. Explain me more.
Well, I remember one place that had a whole wall covered with poison ivy. And people came from miles around to look at that wall, and they stayed to buy.
The owner got rich.
No. He scratched himself to death in an insane asylum.
Oh, that was my cousin Harry.
All right. All right. You go home and you get this fancy schmancy plant and you bring it back here. And if Mr. Yellow Vest Fouch says it's a draw, you still got a job. If he don't, out you go to both of you, right?
Don't worry, you'll like it. You'll see. Well, here it is, everybody. What do you think of it?
Well, it sure is different.
It looks delicious, but don't you think it's kind of stale?
Well, it hasn't been feeling too well.
You call that a fancy plant? It looks like it never spent an LT day in its entire life.
I don't care. I like it anyway.
You like even skunk cabbage.
Yeah. What kind of a plant is this, Seymour?
Well, I'm not sure. I got the seeds from a Japanese gardener over on Central Avenue. He found them in with an order he got from a plantation next to a cranberry farm.
Fine, fine. You don't even know what is this plant you're growing.
Well, I gave it a name.
What name?
Oh, gee.
What? You gave it a dirty name? You can't even mention it?
Well, I named it Audrey Jr.
You named it after me. Oh, really? That's the most exciting thing anyone's ever done to me.
You poor kid. I don't think it's so much I should keep on spending $10 a week on your salary.
But, Gravis, he named it after me.
I know, and if they keep it, they'll name it Mushnick's Folly because I'll be in jail for non-payment of taxes.
Are you crazy?
Who?
You. That's probably the only plant of its kind in the world. Don't you realize if Seymour can nurse that thing back to health, you'll have people coming here from all over?
You think so, you Fouch?
I know so, you Mushnick. Now, that's all I'm saying on the subject. Besides, I've got to get home. My wife's making gardenias for dinner.
Feed me. Feed me. Feed me.
Who said that? You said that. You said that.
Feed me.
You said that. You can talk. I got a talking plant. Say it again.
Feed me.
Oh, boy. I never been to college and I ain't been around much. But I'd have been willing to bet there ain't no such thing as a talking plant. But I'll take your word for it. Gee, Junior, I'd like to feed you. But I used up all my fingers. Oh. Look at me, I'm all cut to pieces. But maybe I can find another drop here someplace. That's the best I can do.
More.
But I'm already anemic.
Feed me more.
Gee, Junior, I'd be happy to give you anything I got. But I gotta keep a little blood for myself or I'll be in worse shape than Mom. I'm sorry, Junior. Well, I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll think of something. Oh, stay away from me. Seymour, you're trying to kill me.
A duel. Aha.
Is this Stoddard's office?
Just a minute.
Oh, yes. I see it is.
You can come in now.
My name is Wilberforce.
Wilberforce what?
Just Wilberforce. My first name is Wilbur. My last name is Force. I don't have a middle name.
Well, you have an appointment, maybe?
No, but you were very highly recommended to me by one of your patients, Mrs. S. Shiva. I do a lot of undertaking for her relatives.
Well, as you can see, I have a customer now, and I'm all booked up for the rest of the day, so you'll have to come back tomorrow.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I have 3 or 4 abscesses, a touch of pyorrhea, 9 or 10 cavities. I lost my pivot tooth, and I'm in terrible pain.
Well, I can't help you today.
Oh, that's all right. I'll just wait outside. The patient came to me with a large hole in his abdomen, caused by a fire poker used on him by his wife. He almost bled to death and gangrene had set in. I didn't give him much of a chance. There were other complications. The man had cancer, tuberculosis, leprosy, and a touch of the grip. I decided to operate.
My patient just left. You could come in now.
Oh, goody. I didn't see the other man leave.
Well, he went out the back door.
You know, most people don't like to go to the dentist, but I rather enjoy it myself, don't you? I mean, there's a real feeling of growth, of progress when that old drill goes in. I mean, I'd almost rather go to the dentist than anywhere, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Now, no Novocaine. It dulls the senses.
This is gonna hurt you more than it is me.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes. Oh, my God, don't stop now!
Well, I made a lot of holes, and now I gotta fill it up with this here silver stuff.
Well, aren't you gonna pull any?
Well,
Oh, go on.
Well, it's your mouth.
Well, Dr. Favre, it's been quite an afternoon. I can truly say I've never enjoyed myself so much. I'll recommend you to all my friends.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.
Tonight's last film is an excerpt from the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a 1920 feature starring John Barrymore. It was, of course, a silent movie then. We've taken the liberty of adding a slightly more contemporary music track.
If you can just get your mind together, then come on across to me. We'll hold hands and then we'll watch the sunrise from the bottom of the sea. But first, are you experienced? Or have you ever been experienced? Well, I have. Well, I know, you probably scream and cry that your little world won't let you go. But who in your measly little world are you trying to prove that you're made out of gold and can't be sold? So, are you experienced? Have you ever been experienced? Well, I have. Let me prove it to you. in the distance. I think they're calling our name. Maybe now you can't hear them, but you will if you just take hold of my hand. Oh, but are you experienced? Have you ever been experienced? Not necessarily stone, but beautiful.
Image Union is a unique program in Chicago television, exclusively featuring the work of independent film and videotape makers.
You know, for years we've been producing videos and YouTube videos have come in that are from all over the world, and it's what we get and what we see is very different. And there's something called System Fail, which is a anarchist television network, and they do very interesting points of view that we don't get anywhere else. And so we want you to see that, and it's very current. It was done a couple weeks ago in October, and they're able to integrate all sorts of things about their world and how things happen that aren't just accidents, but they're really done deliberately because the system is in terrible jeopardy. That's their point of view. And watch it and you will see that you might agree.
Let me read you some of what your own MPs have told me about what's been going on. It's checkmate, we're stuffed. It's dire, we're all done for. These are your own colleagues.
Well, my message to my colleagues is yes.
Do you feel humiliated? That must feel humiliating so early in office.
Well, look, I understand it is very difficult for families across the country.
And they're blaming you. But do you accept that you have made it worse?
Well,
what you've done has made it worse for people. It's made it harder for people to pay their bills. Definitely.
Well, look, yeah. First of all, I have said sorry.
Oh, hello. Welcome to System Fail, the show that speaks truth to power.
It is my great pleasure to present you with the Chiefs Award for Valor. Congratulations. I'd like to give you an opportunity to say a few words.
Yeah. I'm very uncomfortable being here with you guys. I do not rock with the police. And I just want folks to know that they don't keep us safe. We keep us safe. Riots work. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I am your host, D. Doss, and for months now, the drums of war have been growing louder.
84 missiles and 24 drones targeting at least 10 cities from one end of Ukraine to the other.
Revenge after a key bridge connecting Russia to Crimea was blown up this weekend.
Tensions in the Taiwan Strait.
The largest ever military maneuvers that China has done.
Are you willing militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
Global thermonuclear war end-of-days scenario.
Despite the focus of Western media coverage, today's most deadly war is being waged in the territories ruled by the Ethiopian state. In Amhara and Afar, recent fighting has displaced tens of thousands of people from their homes, mostly women and children, while in Tigray, millions of people are being systematically starved to death, under conditions of a government-imposed communications blackout, regular shelling, airstrikes, mass rapes, and other atrocities carried out by the Ethiopian and Eritrean armed forces. Turkey continues to wage a vicious and largely unreported war in Syria and Iraq, bombing Kurdish villages and repeatedly using chemical weapons against guerrilla fighters aligned with the Kurdish Workers' Party, or PKK. And in Yemen, civilians are bracing themselves for a fresh round of fighting, following the collapse of a 6-month ceasefire that had provided a temporary reprieve from 8 years of hell. Meanwhile, Putin's invasion of Ukraine and increased saber-rattling over Taiwan have ramped up geopolitical tensions between the world's so-called great powers to levels not seen since the Cold War. Geriatric politicians, some of whom look like they could barely fight a cold, have assumed the role of wartime leaders, framing armed conflicts over energy markets, trade routes, and so-called spheres of influence as epic clashes of moral, cultural, and national values.
Democracy will and must prevail.
The actual values in question have proven quite elastic. In Ukraine, Western media outlets have gone to great lengths to rehabilitate the neo-Nazis of the Azov Battalion, reframing them as misunderstood patriots, while RT and Sputnik have heaped praise on the neo-Nazis of the Wagner Group for their efforts to, quote, denazify the so-called Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics. Beneath all the misinformation and patriotic spin lies the brutal reality of war, working-class humans slaughtering one another for the vanity of politicians and the profits of their capitalist handlers.
When you look at the leadership that's come from the defense contractors, it's telling us that this conflict in Russia and Ukraine lasts longer than the consensus expects. It's giving us the same message that, say, the energy stocks or oil here is. So this idea of peak conflict or peak inflation or peak yields, I don't think the market is justifying any of those. And these defense contractors, I think, support that view.
But not everyone is going along with the plot.
Я уже ничего не боюсь. Самое ценное, что они могут от нас отнять, это жизнь детей. Я жизнь ребенка своего не отдам.
In Russia, a militant anti-war movement has risen up, launching a sustained, multi-pronged attack on the government's war effort. The Russian state, for its part, has arrested thousands of protesters for peacefully demonstrating their moral objections to the war. Which leads to an obvious conclusion: if all opposition is criminalized, you might as well make it count. Members of the anarchist Communist Combat Organization, known by its Russian acronym BOAK, have carried out dozens of acts of sabotage against railways, aimed at disrupting the transfer of military equipment and ammunition. They have been joined by partisan counterparts in Belarus, whose sabotage of railways has disrupted Russian troop movements and played an important role in thwarting its initial invasion of Kiev. Meanwhile, within Russia, more than 50 military recruitment offices have been attacked since the war began, many of them set alight in brazen nighttime Molotov attacks. Government buildings and police vehicles have also been put to the torch. The pace of these attacks has intensified since Putin issued a decree on September 21st, mobilizing 300,000 reservists for active duty on the front lines.
Все, игрушки закончились, вы все военные.
Пришли забирать вас в армию.
Какую армию? Мне 52 года.
Призывной возраст подняли до 60.
Кто поднял?
Как кто? Президент?
On September 26th, a 25-year-old man named Ruslan Zenin shot a military officer in a conscription office in the Siberian city of Ostolemsk after his friend had been called up for service. In Primorai, near the country's border with North Korea, the commissar in charge of regional mobilization and enlistment was found dead on October 14th. Numerous protests have broken out in the country's far east, as well as the Caucasus regions of Dagestan, Kabardino-Balkaria, and Chechnya, where the region's Putin-obsessed strongman, Ramzan Kadyrov.
I can't hide the way I feel about you anymore. I can't hold the hurt inside. Keep the pain out of me.
Responded to protests by threatening to forcibly conscript participants and their families. On the other side of the increasingly fluid border, a number of Ukrainian, Russian, and Belarusian anarchists have joined the Ukrainian war effort, integrating themselves within the national army in order to fight against what they see as the greater evil of Russian occupation. Other anarchists have maintained an active antagonism to Russia, NATO, and the Ukrainian state, which has enacted authoritarian wartime measures criminalizing dissent, limiting freedom of movement for refugees, and enforcing military conscription on all men and trans women between the ages of 18 and 60. On October 5th, the Ukrainian embassy in Prague was vandalized, and a communique was released blasting Zelensky for forcibly confining Ukrainian civilians who want to flee. It goes without saying. But Ukraine's oligarchs are not fighting on the front lines. Most of them fled the country for the safety of Western Europe as soon as the first bombs started falling. Meanwhile, in France, Germany, Italy, and Greece, anarchists have carried out a number of clandestine attacks against NATO military contractors and disrupted weapons shipments. Despite all the death, devastation, and divisions sparked by Russia's invasion, new solidarities are being formed between those fighting to end the war.
Peoples of Russia have been oppressed by the Russian state for a long time and have all reasons to fight it. Radical ideas have surfaced in the political environment. We don't think Putin can win this war, and losing the war could be followed by anything from change of power to the collapse of the Russian Federation, which is a scenario that is becoming more and more believable by the day.
It's worth noting that Russia's defeat in World War I, hastened by widespread defections and military sabotage, served as a primary catalyst for the February Revolution and the overthrow of the Tsar. History, as they say, doesn't repeat itself. But it sometimes rhymes.
When the dust settles from this, there's going to be hell to pay in Moscow.
Perhaps, maybe some good will come from it. A little revolution now and then is a healthy thing.
And in other news, in so-called Chile, on Tuesday, October 18th, nearly 200 people were arrested in protests, marking the third anniversary of the revolts that shook loose the government's control in 2019. Coordinated actions took place in cities across the country, including Santiago, Valparaiso, Concepcion, and the heart of indigenous Mapuche territory in Temuco. Fiery attacks destroyed 3 city buses in Santiago and logging equipment used to colonize the Mapuche homelands of Wallmapu. The Chilean Pacos were again caught on film trying to run over protesters and firing rocket-propelled tear gas canisters at eye level. 24 police and dozens of protesters were injured in the clashes. The day also witnessed calls of support and solidarity with the hundreds of prisoners who have remained caged since the 2019 revolts, as well as Mapuche political prisoners, like Héctor Yaitul.
Con amor y rebeldía seguiré luchando dentro de esta cárcel por los compañeros que hoy ya no están, por los compañeros que quedaron con traumas oculares y por los compañeros que quedaron postrados en sus casas. Un día levantaremos nuestros puños, cortaremos nuestras cadenas y aplastaremos a aquel que nos quitó nuestra libertad.
We have now reached the end of this episode of System Fail. To support anarchist and anti-war prisoners in Russia and Belarus, consider following and donating to anarchist Black Cross chapters in Belarus, Moscow, and Irkutsk. You can support Submedia by buying some gear, making a one-time donation, or signing up to be a monthly sustainer on our website, sub.media. A huge thank you to our latest sustainers, Andrew, Elisa, Tyler, Cecilia, Michael, and B. Be sure to follow us on your favorite corporate data mining platform of choice, or on federated social media platforms like Mastodon or PeerTube, by searching for Submedia. Or better yet, sign up to our mailing list to get each new episode delivered directly to your inbox. Godspeed, humans.
the things that remind me about where this came from was during maybe 30-something years ago, there was a group called Laibach that was making a statement about about the right and about the. Well, you check it out. This is called "Life is Life."
Duck and cover. Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. Paul and Patty know this. No matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Sundays, holidays, vacation time, we must be ready every day, all the time, to do the right thing if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do. Duck and cover. First, you duck. And then you cover. You duck and cover tight. Duck and cover under the table. It's a bomb. Duck and cover.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Duck and cover.
Hey, that was a pretty good show. I'm gonna keep watching Imogene.